Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm gonna do my weekly reading update for, what is it? January 26, 2020. Man, that's gonna still take some time. I thought I had it. I had it. Nope, I'm done. Anyway, so, this week was another busy week at work, which didn't surprise me, and I did a fair amount of reading. I didn't do maybe as much as I'd like. So again, I'm still having trouble with when I first get home. I don't want to pick up anything. I just look at my phone or, stare blankly at TV. But I did finish a book. I did DNF a book. I did put a book back on my TBR and then made progress on one of the books that I'm closing in on finishing. Oh, and I did pick up another reread. It's going to be interesting. Anyway, so before we start, I did get to go to Pals yesterday with my dad. So technically this week I went twice. So on Tuesday, I went to Pals, which I'll tell another story in a second. And I took a lot of books in. I took about 40 books in. I got back a couple. I probably got about 8 or 9 back. But I got $50 in credit. So I spent that because that's credit and money doesn't count. So I got 7 books that day. And then yesterday my dad and I went to the downtown Portland location for Pals, and I got 14 books. But I used all my Christmas money and my Christmas gift cards that I had there. So I only spent $12 of my money. I picked up one extra book. I actually put some books back, but anyway. So yeah, I think I did pretty well there. And then again, I haven't bought that many books this month. So I think I bought 6 on my own. So I have quite a bit of books coming. I came into my house, but I didn't spend as much money as I normally do. So it's still a win, even though I got a lot of books. Oh well. Give and take. So there'll probably some book hauls coming up in the next 2 weeks. But the thing is, I want to talk about the Tuesday when I was going to go to Pals. Is I had the books in 2 of the cloth bags, reusable bags. So I packed them up a couple days before that, and then I took them out into the garage before I went to work, and I went back into the house and I got my lunch together. And when I went out to the garage, I was thinking about getting the books into the trunk, so I was going to put my lunch in my purse and stuff in the car. So I stepped over the bags. Well, I didn't make it. My foot caught on the cloth bag, and I pretty much face planted, not really, it's knee planted between my car and the side of my garage onto the concrete. So my knees are killing me. It was really painful. I didn't break any, I don't have pain like that. It just bruised up really bad. It actually took probably about 3 days for bruises even to pop up, but it was so sore. So yes, I biffed it in the garage. It was not my best morning, let me just tell you. Tuesday was not my day. And I was very sore, and then but I was fine. I'm fine. I didn't twist my ankle either because I was kind of worried about that because it kind of twinged a little bit because of how I caught it. But I was fine. It was one of those things where I just fell and biffed it. Anyway, so what fun. No. But I still went to work. I still put in my hours. I barely made it to work on time though. I was almost late, but I would have had a good excuse because I'd fallen in the garage anyway. But made it through work. I still did some overtime. I went to Pals. I sold my books. I bought some books. Came home. And then I didn't. And then, I took some Advil. Anyway, so I won't go any more into that. Anyway, so it was a hard week on me physically because I did it to myself. But other than that, yeah, so yeah, I did a lot of buying this week. But most of it, like I said, is not money-wise. I did really well. I just brought in a lot of books. So anyway, so we're going to talk about sorry for that long intro, but it was my story anyway. So we're going to talk about the books that I finished, the books, and DNF'd. And then the books that I'm in the middle of and what I'm going to read in the next week. So I think the biggest thing to put up here is that I finished Wolf Hall on Sunday. I'm so glad. I chugged through the last part of it. I don't remember now how much I had left. I don't know, it was like 200 pages, maybe 175 actually, I think. And it took me all day because I was watching BookTube in and out and I was doing other things around the house. But I did finish this, and I am so glad that I have finally picked this up and read this book. Again, this is the first book in the Thomas Cromwell trilogy by Hilary Mantel, and this is the first book. So we're doing Cromwellathon. So we're following with Jason Oldswig's chapter and verse, and we're talking about Wolf Hall. And then next month we'll read Bring Up the Bodies, which is book 2, and then the third book, Mirror and Light, comes out in March, which I'm number 19 on my library hold list, so I probably won't get it in March, but yeah, I'll probably get to read it in April. But anyway, but I'm so glad that I finally picked this up. I really enjoyed this. It is one of those interesting things where you're seeing history from a perspective that most of the ones I've read in the past, again, they vilify Cromwell for a lot of the things they did, but I like that this makes him very human. And I mean, he still does all those things that he's vilified for, but the point is that you get to see what's going on behind that, and what a lot of his motivations and choices he makes. And I love the family. His family is just, he brings people in, and he's very loyal to them, and they're very loyal to him. And I like all that. But again, this is Thomas Cromwell and Henry VIII, and it's during the time where Henry wants to divorce Catherine in order to marry Anne Boleyn. So I really enjoyed this book overall. It had all the political stuff as well as human emotions and stuff, and then it's all this, again, the political stuff goes all across Europe, which was very fascinating. And again, it's a time period I have studied, here and there for when I was in school, and also other books I've read, but I definitely want to pick up more during that time period. It's a fascinating period. And I do like it's not just about, Henry VIII and his wives. It has a lot of the other stuff that's going on at that time with the church and everything, and the breaking up of that. So with breaking with Rome. So again, I got to the end of it and I was like, oh, I need to read the next book, but I'm not going to read it until February, because that's when, again, we'll start reading that again, because I wanted to get some other stuff done. But I am really looking forward to continuing on. I did really like this. I mean, definitely 5 stars. I'm definitely keeping this. This is a book I will come back and reread, because it was just fascinating. And it'd be nice to take more time with it maybe next time and read it straight through instead of breaking it up how I've been doing. Because again, my reading this month has been very weird with my buddy reads and read-alongs that I was trying to read per week on certain things or certain periods. And so for me, it's a different experience. But I want to go back, and at some point I'll probably reread these. Probably, as I said, I could already see that in 5 years or so I'll probably reread all of them. But as I said, I'm looking forward to reading book 2. I mean, I'm already planning my reread. That's just typical of me, isn't it? So, so I finished that on Sunday. So I decided that I was going to pick up the book that was on my TBR for January, but that was one of my oldest books on my TBR that's in my house. So, that I still owned. So I picked up Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata. And this is translated from the Japanese by Edward G. Sidensticker. And again, this is Snow Country. And I had heard mixed reviews before I picked this up. Because again, I learned Shawn the Book Maniac hadn't liked it. And I think Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventure kind of liked it, or at least enjoyed it enough to get through it. I don't remember now. I have to go back. I'm pretty sure she liked it. Anyway, but I did not like this. I got 55 pages into it, 53 pages into it. And I was just like, I don't care. I didn't like the main guy. He was a jerk to me. I don't like him. I don't, the woman so far featured, the young woman that he meets up in the country. He's away from his family. He's out having his own little holiday. Let's put it this way. Again, we're in Japan in the 1930s, I believe. And she is, a country geisha, which is, they were different from the city ones. in the way that these ones, at least how they said in here, where they were much more more prostitute than the ones in the big cities. But I'm not, you know, that's just what it said in here. I don't know enough about the history. But my problem was is she was just way, like, I just didn't get her. Like, she was, I don't know, I don't want to say passionate, but she was just way too enthusiastic with him for somebody she just kind of knew. So, it was just one of those things where I'm like, I just didn't like it. Anyway, so let's just say I got 53 pages in. I decided this was not worth it for my time. Yes, I've had this book on my shelf for 20 years. This thing has moved to different states with me, into several apartments, and then to my home here now. And I finally read it. I hate it. I'm donating it. It's going away. So I just didn't like it. I hated it. I'm not, like, it was just, there was nothing for me. Like, it just didn't do anything. So it's, and again, I really like Japanese literature. I read several books every year for sure. I have for years. And this is just one I never picked up. It was like one of those ones, because it's kind of this whitish spine. I think I just kind of blended in with my other classics that I forgot I had it until I was going through my books and finding the oldest books on my shelf. And I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't read this, and I've had it for that, you know. Well, now I've tried. I'm getting rid of it. And then the only other book I want to kind of mention that I had on my TBR, but I'm going to postpone it because I just don't feel that this is the time. And I think I overextended myself when I was trying to read, and that is Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. So I was already kind of leery to start this book, and I think I'm still leery. And again, it comes down to is I read a section of it in college, and as much as the writing was beautiful, I know enough about what's going to happen because it's a classic. So this one, I've been kind of spoiled for it. I'm just not ready for this book right now. So I was part of an Instagram classics club, and this was the first book. And I don't want this to be my first Hardy, if that makes any sense. I started Far from the Maddening Crowd 2 years ago. No, a year and a half ago. No, a little over a year. Whatever. It was two Victobers ago. And I got, because I had issues with Anne Bronte's The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, I kind of dropped out of Victober that year. And Far from the Maddening Crowd was one I tried a little bit, and I was going to read it next, and I just couldn't get into another Victorian literature book at that time, so I had to change my reading. I still think I want that to be my first Hardy experience, so I'm going to put this aside. I'm not getting rid of this. This is going back on my TBR. I will hopefully read Far from the Maddening Crowd this year. I'm hoping to do it before Victober, but it might just be, that'll be one of my Victober books. We'll see. But I think Tess has to wait a little bit. Again, I did read a lot of the comments from the book club, and it is heartbreaking, and I know that's coming. And I just think this is just not the book for me to read right now. Just my mood or whatever. But it's mostly, I really think this is not the Hardy I want to start with. I really think I want to start with one of the kind of slightly lighter ones compared to this one. But I will come back to this. This is still not one of my favorite premises that I really want to read about, but it's a classic. It's one on the list of ones I want to read, so I will do that later. I just have to put it off. It's probably not going to be this year, so I just put it back on my want to read on Goodreads as well, and we'll just it'll be later. Of the stuff I'm in the middle of, I didn't make a lot of progress in The Man with the Golden Torque. I only listened to it like one day. Again, this week was weird because after I had my fall, I really didn't want to concentrate in the car on an audiobook, so I didn't listen after Monday. So I'm only page 60 out of 400. So I'm going to try to this week. I think I'm going to try to get a lot of this done. I won't finish by the end of the month because it's like, I think it was a 17-hour audiobook, and I think I'm only at, 15 hours left. So it's not going to finish it this week, but I'm going to continue listening to this. I do want to get it done so I can continue in this series. And again, this is book 1 of the Secret Histories series, which is urban fantasy, where we have Eddie Drood, who is part of the Drood family, who are kind of like keepers of humanity, kind of like taking care of things from like aliens and from other dimensions and things that are trying to destroy us, and they're kind of our like a line of defense, but they have their own rules and stuff, and he's part of this family, and he's always been kind of on the outside because he just felt he questioned things, and they didn't like people who question things. But he is part of the family. He gets drawn back in due to some issues within the family. They think there's a traitor, and although some might think it's him, it's, you know, because he's been always kind of the outsider, even though hasn't really been that close with them, he still works for them. So anyway, it's good so far. Again, 60 pages in, and I'm enjoying my reread. I read this back, I think in 2009 or 10. So it's been 10 years. I don't remember a whole lot. I remember the characters, and I remember a few scenes that are coming and some characters we haven't met yet, but I'm enjoying that. I have not had I haven't listened to any audiobooks. I only did listen to it one day last week. And then the book that I'm coming towards the end of is London Belongs to Me by Norman Collins. So we just finished the last section. So I'm at 632 pages out of like 734. So I got 102 pages left of this book, and this is probably going to be my focus today. I am ready for this to be done. This has been a fantastic buddy read with Shawn the Book Maniac. I have thoroughly enjoyed that. Even if the experience, like to me, it's resetting myself for how to read sections by a certain time. I'm not one of those people who can read, let's say 35 pages a day in a book and then switch to something else. That's not the way I like to read. I like to read for longer periods of time, longer sections. So again, I've been reading this where I'll read this for 2 days for the next section, and then I'll switch to another book, which was you know, the other books I've read this month. And then I switch back. So this one hasn't gone. It's a different experience for me. And so I had my rant about what people say about multiple books and not reading multiple books kind of thing a couple weeks last week, well, week before, I don't remember. Point is that this book has been great. I would never have guessed how much I would like it. It is published from 1945. This is showing South London from a boarding house and all the inhabitants in it and how they're dealing in 1939 through 1940, Christmas 1938 to 1940. So it's all the stuff around. It's their lives of things that are happening and mistakes they make, but it's also dealing with the war coming on and how that affects people who live in London. And so, again, we're 100 pages from the end. I'm really excited to finish this. It's been a really great experience, and this book is so funny. Like, the people in here are kind of almost, they're almost a little over the top, but they're not to that point. Like, it makes sense sometimes how things happen because that's just how life is. And I think he does a really good job of making the characters very realistic. I mean, again, we know some weird people, and that's probably what some of these are. But some of them are very down to earth, and they just, as I said, don't always make the right decisions. So I really am enjoying this. I'm really hoping to finish that up either today or tomorrow so that it's done. As I said, I have 100 pages left in that, so I'm closing in on the end of reading that all month. And then the book that I picked up after I DNF'd Snow Country, I picked up to reread. Is anybody surprised? It's Marked in Flesh by Anne Bishop. This is book number 4 in the other series. Again, I'm already doing a reread of my favorite series from last year. And then last year I had already read 3 of the books, so I have the last 2 to read. So I'm reading number 4 now. I got to about 140 before I switched back to reading London Belongs to Me. So I mean, I gave it a day or 2 or something, and then I switched over. So this is what I'll probably pick up after I finish that, because that's about a 500-page book. So it'll be a couple of days. So I figure it'll be about midweek that I'll finish this, maybe. We'll see. But again, this is urban fantasy. Again, book number 4 of 5. I mean, there's a spin-off series, which I haven't read yet, which is on my list this year to read. Well, I didn't put it on my list because I already kind of figured I was going to do it. I should have just done that. But anyway, Point is that of the 5 books, this is book number 4. Again, this is an urban fantasy where the world is slightly different, where there are others and there are humans, and humans don't even own any of the North America. They live mostly by lease by the others who own the country. And again, that's mostly shifters and vampires and other kind of things. But they deal with the humans, and they have this one town called up in New York, I would say, sorry, my cat is stealing things off my desk. Sorry. So they have like a courtyard, which is where the others kind of are in the middle of a town of humans and kind of watch over them. Because again, the humans are there only because the others say they can be, because they're renting. And so there's a lot of politics going on of how the humans think they should be able to expand and do whatever they want, and the others just trying to keep their keep nature the thing right, and letting the others have the range of the forests and the things that are in the middle of the country. Anyway, I'm not describing that right, and I'm just got distracted because of Cooper. Anyway, but this is book number 4, so we're ramping up for the finale. This is a really great book in the series. I know a lot of people don't like book 5 because it is a much quieter novel than this one, because this one's really the action-packed ending. But it really makes sense, book number 5. So again, I'll be rereading that probably in the next couple months after I finish this. Yes, cat. And then if I hopefully get that finished, as I said, mid to late week, I'm going to read a library book that came in, which is Night Train to Murder by Simon R. Green. I don't remember what number I was going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is number 8. So this is number 8 in the Ishmael Jones series. I've been reading these as they come out from the library because the hardbacks are so expensive, and then wait for the paperbacks. But I'm kind of like, I only have like 5 of the paperbacks. The other ones haven't come out in paperback yet. But this is number 8. So Ishmael Jones and his sidekick Penny are on a train, and I think they're supposed to watch, I don't know, something. I think it's kind of like a closed murder mystery kind of thing, because they're on a train. So that'll be different. This is actually different because all the other books have to do with English country manor mystery murders kind of thing, but with a science urban fantasy twist, because Ishmael Jones is an alien in a human body, and there's a whole backstory with that. But it's a fun urban fantasy. They're very short. They're usually about 175 to 225 pages. They're great short reads, but they're just so much fun. I love these. And so this is book number 8. I'm looking forward to it. And of course I'm going to slip it in before I take it back to the library, because I think it's due, because again, it's new. So I need to take it back on next Sunday. So I will hopefully get this done next week. So that's kind of this week, as I said, before we get to that. And then if I get done with that, I am probably going to return to the Gulag Archipelago by Alexander, Solzhenitsyn. I need to write that out so I remember. Anyway, this is translated from the Russian by 2 guys, which my brain just... Thomas P. Whitney and Harry Willits. So I have the abridged version. I'm still glad I got this one, because it's a 1 volume. I don't know if I would be able to do 3 volumes of this, but I did start this at the beginning of the month. So I'm only 45 pages in. And again, this talks about the Gulag system in Russia from 1918 to the 50s, I believe, because he was 56. So he was actually in the gulags. Oh, and now I can't remember how many years. I think it was over 10. I think so. Anyway, so it was very fascinating when I started this. It's just I had started, remember, 5 books on New Year's Day, not Amy's kind of thing. But this one is one I want to get back to. It was on my TBR, so it's not going to get done in January, but I think I'll carry it into February and hopefully finish it out. So I'm hoping to read that after that. So that is it. I know that's a lot of books that I talked about, and a little ramble at the beginning about me and my klutziness. And then all the books I have that I'll get to show you here pretty soon. So, that is it. What are you guys reading? Are you guys doing, are you guys wrapping up January with a lot of books that you're trying to complete before the end? As I said, this has been a weird reading month. I'm looking forward to February being kind of back to normal, except that I am so glad that I joined in the Cromwellathon and that I did the buddy read with Shawn the Book Maniac. It's just both phenomenal experiences, I think, this month, even if it felt like it was like I was kind of stretching my reading ability to the point where I'm like, this is a little much for me. I think I want to go back to my reading only one physical book at a time. I think it's just, I like the experience much better than I do breaking it up. But I think I made it through, and I'm looking forward to a few buddy reads that I have in the future. So we will see how that goes. So anyway, let me know how you're doing, how you're reading. If you ever biffed it in their garage like that, I am still pain. My knees hurt. Anyway, again, could be worse. I luckily did not hurt myself too bad. Anyway, so that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.